Days Gone explores the petrifying yet magical world of the post-apocalyptic United States. The game puts you into the role of Deacon St. John, once a soldier in the United States Army's 10th Mountain Division who later became an enforcer of the Mongrels Motorcycle Club and follows the gripping journey he embarks on to find his love Sarah 2 years after a deadly pandemic struck the world. The game was developed by Bend Studio and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Alongside the harsh environment of Lost Lake and the wilderness of Deschutes County, Days Gone introduces us to plenty of new characters. From Deke's sidekick Boozer to the eccentric Colonel Garrett, the main characters of the story range from outright despicable to remarkably likable. That being said, here are 10 notable characters from Days Gone. At number 10, we have Colonel Garrett. Colonel Matthew Garrett in Days Gone is the disciplined and authoritarian leader of the militia, a group seeking to restore order and control in the post-apocalyptic world. With a military background, he prioritizes the greater good and maintaining power, often clashing with the game's protagonist, Deacon St. John, whose individualistic approach conflicts with Garrett's desire for centralized authority. Garrett's motivation is rooted in the belief that only through a strong, controlled force can order be reinstated amidst the chaos of the Freaker outbreak, leading to morally gray decisions that add complexity to the game's narrative and make him a significant character. Colonel Matthew Garrett was a former militiaman. Sometime after the outbreak, he formed the Deschutes County Militia and turned other survivors into his followers. During his lifetime, the colonel was a mentally unhinged person who often preferred violence over other solutions. His obsession with the so-called Holy War against the Freaks had resulted in him becoming gradually unstable. This reason alone showcases why he's such a detestable villain pretty well. Who cares about pulling military rank when the world is ending after all? At number 9, we have Raymond Schizo Sarkozy. Schizo emerges from the same Mongrels motorcycle gang as the game's protagonist, Deacon St. John, before the apocalypse and Freaker outbreak. In the game, he becomes a member of Iron Mike's camp, one of the survivor encampments. Schizo's personality is marked by opportunism and self-serving tendencies, making him a divisive and untrustworthy figure. Throughout the narrative, he evolves from an apparent ally into a character with his own agenda, willing to manipulate situations to further his interests. His interactions with other characters, particularly Deacon, are fraught with distrust and conflict as Schizo's actions prioritize personal gain and survival, often conflicting with the values of loyalty and community prevalent in the post-apocalyptic world. Deacon might have crossed more than a few lines, but the only moral standard he kept is that he would never betray a friend. Schizo occupies the polar opposite side of the moral spectrum as far as that goes. He was the snake who nearly gave up Deacon and Boozer to the Rippers, and in the end, he ended up killing Iron Mike, the former camp leader who once saved his life. We have Carlos at number 8. Jesse Williamson, also known as Carlos, is a major character and the tertiary antagonist of Days Gone, appearing as the main antagonist for the first half of the story. Renouncing his original name after the Freakers outbreak, Carlos is the leader of the Rippers, a cult that worships Freakers. An excommunicated member of the Mongrels Motorcycle Club, Carlos is a personal enemy to protagonist Deacon St. John and William Boozer Gray. At number 7, we have Tucker. Ada Tucker was the female leader of the Hot Springs camp located in the Belknap region. She might seem like a nice lady, but she ran her camp with an iron fist. Under her command, everybody had a fair share of work regardless of their age. However, at the end of the day, we do what we have to do in order to survive. Back in the days before the pandemic hit, she worked in a female penitentiary and believed that everyone had to earn their keep. This might have contributed to the iron fist nature of her leadership style, but deep inside, she wanted nothing but the best for her people. At number 6, we have Iron Mike. J. Michael Wilcox, more commonly known as Iron Mike, is a major side character in Days Gone. He is a survivor of the Freaker outbreak and the leader of the Lost Lake encampment in the Iron Butt region of Oregon, United States. As the leader of the Lost Lake encampment, Iron Mike is a central figure in the struggle for survival and order in a chaotic world overrun by Freakers. With a background rooted in law enforcement, he brings a strong sense of morality and compassion to his leadership role, earning the respect and loyalty of his community. But, as with any character in Days Gone, there's more than meets the eye. Derek Corey. Derek Corey, also referred to as Captain Corey, is a main character in Days Gone. Originally a member of the United States Air Force, he is now a survivor of the Freaker outbreak. He is the captain of Diamond Lake Outpost of the Deschutes County Militia and served as second-in-command to Colonel Matthew Garrett. Upon arriving at the Deschutes County Militia camp, Derek Corey, the leader of the Diamond Lake Outpost, greeted Deke and promptly gave off a particularly weird and creepy vibe because he wore the ring Deke had given to Sarah. However, as the game progressed, it turned out that Corey had been on Deke's side this whole time. He unexpectedly saved Deke's life after the order to persecute the outlaw biker and went AWOL from the camp. At number 4, we have Ricky Patil. Ricky Patil is a main character in Days Gone. She is a survivor of the Freaker outbreak and the second in command of Iron Mike's camp. Ricky Patil is such a complex and perplexing character. She also had a history of riding with Deke and Boozer before falling out with Iron Mike. Later in the game, despite her publicly known relationship with Addie, she developed some romantic feelings towards Deacon. They had a fair share of intimate moments even though Deke tried to tone it down because Sarah was on his mind. However, if it weren't for Ricky, Mike would never have accepted Deacon and Boozer back at the Lost Lake camp. At number 3, we have Sarah Whitaker. Who doesn't fancy a love story between a highly educated scientist and an outlaw biker? Deacon and Sarah are a match made in heaven. Their history can be traced way back to the good old days when Sarah worked for Cloverdale, a bioengineering company, and Deacon was the lead enforcer of the Mongrel MC. Sarah is a research scientist and botanist, and the wife of protagonist Deacon. She is presumed deceased at the dawn of the Freakers' outbreak. A large part of Days Gone revolves around Deacon's search for her. Sarah also convinced Colonel Garrett to not chop down the final tree on the militia's base, believing that at least one should be left. For around a year, Sarah conducted tests on the Freakers, collecting blood samples in an attempt to reverse engineer the virus. Sarah's work is constantly delayed due to inefficiency of those who are retrieving the equipment she needs. Beyond that, she's a vital part of the game's plot. Her transformation into a badass and relentless freak killer is fascinating to witness. At number 2, we have Boozer. William Gray, most commonly referred to as Boozer, is the deuteragonist of Days Gone. Once a surgeon at arms of the Mongrels Motorcycle Club and Deacon St. John's closest friend. 2 years later, he is now a survivor of the Freaker outbreak, which has decimated the world across the Pacific Northwest. Boozer works as a mercenary alongside Deacon, accepting bounties in exchange for supplies from wilderness encampments. During hard times, everyone could use a friend like Boozer. The former surgeon at arms of the Mongrel MC had been Deacon's only family for more than 2 years since the outbreak started. In fact, he was the only one who showed up during Deke and Sarah's wedding. Just like Deke, loyalty of his friends is Boozer's #1 priority. Even after his arm was amputated, Boozer always sincerely appreciated Deke for taking care of him during the lowest points of his life. At number 1, we have Deacon St. John. Deacon Lee St. John, also referred to as Deke, is the playable protagonist of Days Gone. Once a soldier in the United States Army's 10th Mountain Division who later became an enforcer of the Mongrels Motorcycle Club. 2 years later, he is now a survivor of the Freaker outbreak that has decimated the world across the Pacific Northwest. After losing his wife Sarah at the start of the outbreak, Deacon works as a cynical and ruthless mercenary, accepting bounties from wilderness encampments in exchange for supplies. He's never been afraid to go the extra mile and push some boundaries, even if it means sacrificing his own life. Deacon is the kind of friend who's overly protective, yet is content to call you out whenever you do something wrong. Months and years passed, yet Deacon's love for Sarah was still pure as ever. Despite Boozer's discouragement, Deacon defied the slim odds of finding Sarah, and the result was entirely worth the hassle. So, these are our favorite characters from Days Gone. We will appreciate if you will comment down below your favorite characters from the game. I know a cool YouTube channel you can keep an eye if you like video games. The channel is called What to Game. See you guys around.